Hi everyone, Rich from Mowd. Welcome back to week 5 of our 6-week lawn renovation. You've heard me say it every week and I'm going to say it again, lawn is looking fantastic. Compared to what it was 5 weeks ago when there was a 25-metre trench and soil and spoil all over the shop, it's looking great. We've put a lot of products down, yes, but applied a lot of patience now as well, and it is looking brilliant. One bit we will look at with a bit of focus today is the seeding that I did last week. If you look back to last week's video, or if you watch it, if you haven't already seen it, we made up a soil and seed mix and used it for some really quick patch repairs for, you know, where the dog might have been or where the kids have made a bit of a bare patch. And even I've been impressed this week with how quickly and how thick that grass has come up. Lots of strong shoots, some of them are an inch and a half tall already. So we'll have a look at those, and if you stand on the lawn and look around, you can't see the bold patches. That's how well the grass is already established. I've no doubt that the humic acid that we put down a few weeks ago has helped with that germination, but mainly it's that soil to seed contact and keeping it wet. We've been lucky with the weather this week. It's done nothing but rain, which has kept the seed and the soil damp, so perfect conditions really. So one more week and wait for those swards to thicken and establish more, and it'll be looking brilliant, so I'm not concerned in the slightest. One thing we did do this week as well, I cut the willow tree. I think it's a weeping willow, correct me if I'm wrong, let me know, but I think it's a weeping willow. It grows so fast, so like literally in a few weeks it had grown 2 foot down to nearly the ground, and that had stopped all of the most important nutrients getting to the grass. It stopped the water from the rain, it stopped the light from the sun getting down to the patch, to the grass. So it had started to thin out a little bit, and I'll pay some particular attention to that when we do the walk round in the lawn, and you'll see where it started to thin out. So I've trimmed it right back. It looks a bit like a bowl haircut, but it's done the job because now we're getting loads of sun and loads of water from the rain down there, so that will start to establish again. Put as much nutrients down there as you like, but if you're missing the most important two, water and light, then the grass will die away. So I'll show you that little area. We'll do the walk around, look at the turfed areas and the patches, and show you how it's recently been cut, which brings me on to the Atco. That died this week. Rather large bang, the pinion gear's just grinding out. Even the cylinder is jammed on it now. It's catastrophic. It's dead, not using it again. So now I'll be stuck with the rotary Cobra mower. I'm not saying stuck with like it's a bad mower. I prefer cylinder, but a rotary now is all I've got. So any of you at home who've only got rotary mowers, you think you can't stripe a lawn, think again, because that's what I'm using every week. So I'll probably try and get a new mower sometime next spring maybe, but for now and for this winter, it'll be rotary mower. So next for this lawn, now the recovery is pretty much there. We've got one more week, but I'll show you a start to finish kind of video. But what now? We've got to look at the nutrition for this lawn. We're getting towards autumn. I apply broadly over the year 3-month fertilisers. They're 3-month lasting fertilisers. The fertiliser I'll be applying now as part of our autumn fertiliser is called Equinox. It's Mowd's Equinox fertiliser. It's a 15-1-15 NPK value. That means we've got 15% nitrogen, 1% phosphorus and 15% potassium. The nitrogen will help a nice green, good sward growth. The phosphorus gives it a little bit of a boost to the root zone, help establish those healthy roots, and the potassium will just make it a little bit more disease resistant. Well, actually a lot more disease resistant because there's 15% potassium in this particular product, and it will also help it utilise the water it has access to in a much more efficient way. Also in that blend we have calcium, we have magnesium, brilliant for plant health and cell structure. The magnesium will help with photosynthesis and the greening up, but also seaweed. So this will actually be the 3rd seaweed application that I've put down this year. Now seaweed is absolutely key, because what that does, it creates a really nice healthy soil, improves the soil structure. Seaweed can actually help retain moisture again in the soil as well, which is key. So it means that we're creating a lovely seed bed or soil bed for the grass to grow in. Our much preferred method at Mowd is to provide healthy soil and good nutrients, and therefore we apply exclusively granular products, whether that's the wetting agent, the seaweed or the fertilisers. We always apply granular. I'll come on to another reason why in a second, but if we're applying liquid feeds, you apply to the leaf and it acts really quickly. It gets to work in just a few days in some products' cases. but it also goes quite quickly, and there's no nutrient left in the soil. So we want to create a nice friendly soil. The other reason as well we apply exclusively granular products at Mowd is because it is a really easy method of applying fertiliser. You can see where you've been, you know, you can see the prills that have gone down, and actually what you use to apply is dead simple. I'll show you today a couple of fertiliser spreaders I've got. I've got a large bucket spreader which has a really wide broad, or should I say a broad cast, and also a hand winding spreader as well, which is great for smaller applications up to kind of 100 square metres easy, maybe even 150 square metre lawn. And I'll show you those two. Now that's a huge benefit on granular over liquid, because again, if you had liquid, you'd have to apply it via a knapsack sprayer. And well, first of all, 100, 130 quid to buy a decent one to start with, and then you've got to understand how you calibrate it, how much product you're putting down compared to how much water, and because it's not obvious where you've been, you could double dose some areas that could lead to scorching or root burn. So it's a product that you can use granular liquid, it's absolutely fine, but you really got to know what you're doing. So again, one of Mowd's principles is we stand by granular fertiliser exclusively. So I think I'll go out. First of all, I'll cut the lawn because it's looking a bit shaggy. It needs a trim, and then I'll do the walk around on the nice Mowd lawn, show you the willow tree, the bare areas, and some of the seeding that we've done last week. So you know what? Let's start by cutting the lawn. So week 5, end of week 5 now. I'll just give the lawn a quick cut, and I think you'll agree we're looking pretty good now. I'm going to have a quick look at the bits we seeded last week. We're going to start off there. If you remember, we sat down here, did some seeding. This is one of those areas. See all the young shoots of grass? That was quite a deep area, that was. Let's see if I can find some more. Here's a few other areas. Now these are a bit lighter, and we've had ants, quite a lot of ants digging up, but that's about as bad as it gets. But as you can see, over the whole width of the lawn, you can't see any of the seeded areas. It's only been 1 week. So that really works, that technique, making a seed mix, putting it down, and that grass is only going to get thicker over the next week or so as well. We've got 1 week left. But again, you can still see down here where the new turf is. It's a little bit darker in colour. I'm not too concerned about that. But I think you'll agree it's looking pretty good actually. Let's go look in the middle. So yeah, you can just about see where the turf was. There's a few areas which are still a little bold, but these had a bit of the turf mix last week as well. So actually, come a week's time, I don't think you'll see that at all. Yeah, this was another one of the little problem areas, but that's all starting to fill in as well. Yeah, and actually what you'll have seen today as well is we cut the willow tree down. I'll show you what I meant in the willow tree. It's getting a little bit bare just down here, but it'll get some seed, it'll get some light now as well and some water, and that'll come back absolutely fine. But for the end of week 5, I think it looks pretty good. So we've come inside the garage today because it's raining. It's been raining all week and it still is, and I really want to cover the two fertiliser spreaders that I use. Like I said, I use pretty much granular a lot of the time. You'll see me put some liquid ferts down and liquid treatments earlier in the last few weeks, just because we're kind of recovering the lawn. But my general annual lawn care program is pretty much granular fertilisers, wetting agents and seaweed. So I'll show you the two pieces of kit that I use. First of all, if you haven't got any of this, you can actually just cast it out by hand. It's not a problem, certainly if you've got a small kind of lawn or patch of grass. Just be really careful that you get a really even wide cast on it, and just calculate carefully how you're putting it down. Make sure you wash your hands, wear gloves and all that. The only thing I wouldn't recommend doing that with is if you've got a weed and feed product, because then you've got herbicide, you've got like dicamba 2,4-D or something like that on your hands. Again, you can just wash it off, but just read the back of the label, read the back of the box and the label, and it'll show you what PP you need to use. But generally, when I've got little areas to use, I'll use my hand wound broadcast spreader, so I can fit easily a kilo in one over here. That's one of our packs, is a kilo. Pop it in the top. It's got a nice wrist brace as well where I can pop it on there so it takes the weight nicely. And you see round on this side, you've got the orange handle. And as I wind the handle, it's geared so that it spins the turntable under here. It turns it really quickly. So it casts quite nice and wide. On the side here we've got numbers 1 to 5, and that controls how wide the gate will open. I'll do some close-ups of that in a sec, but it will control how wide this gate opens. So you can, if you're throwing a really big 3 to 5 mil prill, you can open the gate more. If you're putting a really fine kind of 1 to 2 mil prill, you can open the gate a little less. The only thing I will say with these is the trick I learned is, if you are using them, is to start spinning before you open the gate, because if you open the gate, it does tend just to fall out and spill. So get that table spinning as you walk. It is a nice wide spread as well. The only limitation really on this is how much you can fit in the hopper in the top. But like I say, you can easily get a kilo, pretty much 2 kilos if you're careful in it. Now 1 kilo at a time is great in here, because we send out the products in 1 kilo bags, and it helps you calculate exactly where on the lawn you're going to spread it. But a really good, really cheap option, like I say, 15 to 20 pound, depending on which one you buy. I bought that 10 years ago. It's plastic, it's not breaking, it's not going anywhere. So really good option. Seed, fertilizer, seaweed meal, granular wetting agent can all be sprayed and can all be deployed from there. Unlike a sprayer, which would need 130 quid to buy, and you've got all the application rates to sort, but we've already spoken about that. Now, when I want to rip through the job, I want to get it done really quick, or I've got a lot more material to use, this is my tool of choice. This is my bucket spreader. I've got a cover on top, we'll come to that in a second. But down inside the bucket, you can see I've got this grate, so when I pour the fertiliser or the seaweed meal or wetting agent in there, I pour it through to make sure I catch any of the lumps. Huge hopper in there. I can easily fit 20 kilos of product in there, which will allow me to do, kind of, depending on the application rate, I'm going for 500-600 square meters sometimes. And you can see this one is geared as the wheels move, the turntable underneath moves, and this is a really wide, broad cast. Nice pneumatic wheels, goes over all terrain, and it's just a brilliant way to spread a lot of product over a big bit of area. You'll also notice it's got a similar feature on here where we've got a sliding gate. So if I move this back or forth, that will adjust the opening in the bottom of the spreader. And again, I'll do some close-ups of that in a little while, but that will adjust the opening and allow more product to fall through onto the turntable as you turn it. Again, I usually set this around about 3. It's a setting of 1 to 5. I set this 3. What you've always got to remember when you're you're using fertilisers is that you do it in 2 different directions. So you go up and down the lawn and then across the lawn. Don't try and get all the product down in the first pass. That won't work. So you might be wondering as well why we have a rain cover on top, because some of you would probably be thinking we shouldn't spread fertiliser in the rain, and you'd be right, kind of. So what it's really important not to do is to spread fertiliser in the damp. And the reason for that is it'll stick to the leaf, it will start to kind of dissolve and break down. And if you don't continue to water that product in, then you can get some scorching and burn. So actually, you can spread it. If you're a professional greenkeeper or you're doing lots of gardens, sometimes you can't wait for a break in the weather. You just have to get the product down, and as long as it's raining, that is absolutely fine. So you put the product in, you put your rain cover on top. As long as it's dry coming out of the bucket, it won't clump. Once it hits the ground, as long as it continues to rain and washes that product in, there is no problem with that. What I would say is, if you're doing this at home, just wait for a break in the weather and do it when the grass is dry, and then water it in after a couple of days if it hasn't had time to rain on it. But those are my 2 methods for spreading granular fertiliser, wetting agent, seaweed meal. I use them 7-8 times a year, and it just makes the job really easy. Well, another week, another quite easy week actually. End of week 5, lawn's looking great. We're going to move into week 6 next week, and to be honest with you, I haven't got a lot to do this week. I'm just going to let the weather, let it rain. It's still quite warm, so we've got perfect growing conditions. I'm just going to sit back, try and get out there and cut the lawn a couple of times this week in between all the rain, keep it healthy, cutting to about 40-45 mil at the moment, actually quite long, just to allowing it to re-establish itself. But then let's look forward to next week. So next week we're going to do a look from week 1 to week 6, remind ourselves of where we started when we had 25 metres of trench through the lawn to where we've got to now, which is one I'd be quite happy to have friends and family around and have a barbecue on it. So we'll have a look at the start to the finish. And then also what's next, start planning the lawn care treatment. I've got a lawn care calendar that you can download and follow along with us. It shows you what products to apply at what time of year. Really great resource. Print that, pop it on your fridge at home, free download. And then also I need to bear in mind that in the next kind of 4 weeks or so, I'm going to want to renovate this lawn again. I'm going to need to scarify, aerate, top dress, seed, not in that order necessarily, but I need to be aware of that. And one of the problems I've got, I'll need to cut it short to do that. But the grass is at 45 mil at the moment, so I need to start bringing the level of cut down so I can be really low when it's time to scarify in about 4 weeks. So I think this week, next week you'll see me cut it a bit lower, never taking more than 1/3 of the blade off, so bringing it down nice and gradually, but that will be in anticipation for the aeration, scarification, overseeding and top dressing, just so the lawn becomes established and is ready for next spring. So we're thinking ahead like that. Hopefully you've enjoyed this series of videos so far. Leave a like if you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe as well. We've got loads of how-to videos. We've got reviews on different types of lawn mowers and products. So if you subscribe and hit the bell notification button, then it means we get to push the information to you, so you don't even have to think about it. All of the products that we've mentioned here, today's Equinox fertiliser, the broadcast spreaders, they're all available on the website mowd.uk. If you head on over there, you can check out all of our various fertilisers, 3-month exclusive granular applications, and really high quality stuff, really high quality, a lot of nitrogen, a lot of phosphorus, a lot of potassium. We really pack the nutrients in there, and we can deliver that to your door at the right time of year with the exact amount that you need, so you too can have the perfect lawn with very, very little effort. So again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week for the last episode in this series.